This is Simon the Pillowcat, and he's watching what Index and Radius are doing right now.
My sleep schedule is very messed up. For most of my life, my sleep schedule has been odd, at least. But ever since I got back from Australia, I've had a really hard time getting even close to being on a slightly odd schedule. It's just like backwards. So this morning I woke up at like 2:45 a.m. and I just laid in bed trying to go back to sleep. I turned on some podcasts to listen to help me fall asleep. But I was up for probably, 5 or 6 hours before I finally fell asleep again. And then I woke up because I gotta do work things, but it just feels so jet laggy. I just filmed 4 episodes of SciShow. One of them was about vampires because it's almost Halloween time. And look who's here. That's Stevie Boebi right there, ladies and gentlemen. Hi! Hey! I would like to show you guys what I think is the most cruel thing I've ever seen here at Complexly. This right here, this bag of M&M's, peanut M&M's, which are the best M&M's. It's just full of Cheez-Its.
What? That's blasphemy.
I've learned a lot of things about running a business in the last 6 months. And one of the most important things is learning the importance of establishing and especially writing down processes and protocols for handling specific situations. This is important for a number of reasons. An obvious one being that if something doesn't get written down, it's really easy for that thing to not happen. Something that's a little bit less obvious, but I think is just as important, is that if there is an established protocol for a thing, then even before you or an employee ends up in a situation, there's an established expectation for how you or that employee should act, what you should do. And a lot of these protocols and processes get established because something wrong happens. And in the process of figuring out, oh, why did we make that mistake and how can we not make that mistake in the future, you develop some kind of official protocol for a thing. In this situation, when we went to Casper, Wyoming to film the eclipse, and when we went to Yellowstone before that, we did not have an established protocol for who was responsible for dumping the audio that we recorded after we recorded it. As a result, the SD card that had all of the audio for Kate Tectonics, all of the audio that we filmed of the interviews in Casper, Wyoming, the audio that we filmed during the eclipse in Casper, Wyoming, all of that stuff was on an SD card that got formatted and used for something else before all of that audio stuff got dumped. Because it was never established whose responsibility that was, because it was never written down, it didn't end up happening. We got super lucky in this case because we were able to use some file recovery software, and the files that we needed from the audio recorder had not yet been overwritten with other video footage that SD card had been used to record. So we were able to recover all of those files. But again, we were really, really lucky. But now, as a result of this, we've established a protocol about who is expected to be responsible for dumping the footage of a thing after that thing gets captured. And what we decided on, I think, is pretty obvious. Whoever is in control of the tool, be it an audio recorder or a camera, is expected to be responsible for making sure that footage ends up in our Dropbox before that card gets used for something else. Because in this case, Callie was running the audio recorder, but it was never communicated to her that it would be her responsibility to dump the footage. So obviously it's not anywhere close to being her fault that it didn't end up in the Dropbox. I think ultimately failures like that end up falling on the executive team, and by default the person driving the ship, ultimately me. But now Callie knows that anytime she is in control of the audio recorder, it's her responsibility to get stuff into the Dropbox. Later today, we're shooting footage for Kate Tectonics using the Ursa mini camera, and because I'm going to be the one manning the camera during that, it's going to be my responsibility to make sure that that footage ends up in the Dropbox. And over time, you make mistakes, you fall into potholes, and you figure out what went wrong. You develop these processes to make sure you don't make those mistakes in the future, and that's how you end up building part of your company culture. The difference between cinema studios now and cinema studios a year ago is like night and day. Our ability to be communicative and efficient at doing stuff is far superior now. And certainly just like each of us individually should always be growing and learning new things and bettering ourselves, so too do companies get better over time, assuming you have the correct leadership in place to make that a priority. So I'm very optimistic about, in the future, us being even better at this kind of thing. And what that means for employees here is that they are happier and more productive, and what that means for you is that you are going to get more, better content more often. And this kind of thing, of course, applies to non-business related things. I promise you that in your daily life, if you write things down, you will get more stuff done. Right, Katelyn? Right. There's a kitty in this box. Hello, kitty.
Wait, Todd, what didn't you love about HelloFresh? I'm very curious.
What you got there, Katelyn?
Is this a solid or is this a liquid?
Yep.
This is like one of my favorite things to play with when I was little.
Freaking weird.
I have such a strong memory of experiencing this when I was younger and just being freaked out and just so overwhelmed by it.
You ever watched the TV show Zoom? Mm-hmm. That's Zoom. Where I saw this.
Yes.
And I remember that they called it a non-Newtonian fluid.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it in 3rd grade about like different forms of something.
Uh-huh.
And then I raised my hand and I was like, what about non-Newtonian fluids? And he was like,
We've reached that time of the year where it's too cold to go jogging after work. So it's gym time. Treadmill run, bam. 4.8 miles. What'd you do?
Not that.
Stair stepper and vibrator thing?
Oh my gosh, that thing's. I'm now Googling like what the benefits are and if there's actually been any studies or if it's just like shaking your body's gonna make you thin.
Today is the first day of my crash course film criticism shoot, and I was running a bit late, so I was in a hurry. And I was like 3 minutes away from being at Complexly to start shooting, and I looked down and I realized I was wearing a t-shirt. Usually when we film things, we go for button-up shirts. So I whipped out my phone and used text dictation, because texting and driving is bad, to message Nick and ask him if he wanted me to go back and get a button-up shirt. And he was like, yup. So I had to drive back home. I got this button-up shirt, and now I'm going back to Complexly. Woo! Hi, Abby. Hi, Abby. Hi. Thanks for the licks. Here's the film set. It's got some things on it. Okay, let's do the thing. There's a dog in the green screen.
She's just getting cozy.
All done. We did it.
We did it.
We did it. Mr. Todd.
Yeah. That was quick. Yes.
You were just telling me that your therapist told you that you are psychic.
Yep.
What?
This was months ago, so I'm trying to remember exactly how he phrased it, but he pretty much was like, I get a feeling from you that like you are hypersensitive to other people, and it's psychic-like you can go into a room and you can read people and you absorb their emotions, etc., something like that. And then recently, last time I saw him, he told me about tapping, Tapping, and
Go on.
I guess I should say this: I requested to see a new doctor.
Well, you can't just not explain what tapping is.
Oh, sorry. Tapping is a thing, I guess. I don't know, Abby, you could probably explain it better.
This all started because I came across this thing on the internet where it's called tapping for self-love, and it's just telling you to like tap in different places on your face and like give yourself self-affirmations.
I am loved. So anyway, that's tapping. So he said before he goes on flights, he does that. And he's like, I think when like you're anxious, you should just start like tapping yourself. And I'm like, well, I'm in an office with a bunch of people, and if I suddenly just start like saying, I am loved, I am loved, I am loved, people would be like...
It's gonna make us anxious? No.
My phone just...
Your phone just fell in the trash?
I am love. I am love.
So yesterday, Todd was over at my house and he was hungry. So I said, you can have my Quest bar. And it turned out that where I thought my Quest bar was, it was not. So I was like, oh, sorry for offering you a thing I didn't have. But turns out it was in my pocket the whole time.
How Michael love you. You are loved. You are loved.
So, Pie Hole, they have different pizzas every day. And today they have the low roller, which has pizza rolls on the pizza. Literally pizza rolls on the pizza. Beige is not a very cinema color. Marcus.
Yes.
How does it make you feel to see all this stuff getting moved around?
Oh man, it's kind of a big question. Good. This is neat. I like it. It's it's like big and exciting and official, and the space for video games is gonna be cool.
Yeah, right now it's just kind of a war zone of everything that doesn't have a place yet. What are you playing on Twitch today?
Sari and I are going to play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Dang!
I'm gonna fire it up in single player mode for a second, and I'm gonna look for like armors and stuff in shops, and then Sari's gonna scoot on in, and we're gonna fire up the multiplayer.
Nice. People are already in the chat, and you're not even live yet?
Yep.
You've got a dedicated audience, sir. What is this? Tots? Dang. Callie's over, Drew's over, Todd's over. Who's in my yard? There's some child in my yard. What are you doing? Kelsey is learning how to juggle.
Failing. I can do one thing now. Whoop.
No pressure.
No pressure. Look, there's no pressure.
But I'm doing it, so it's okay.